Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 163 based on novel. So let's start. The drop of blue blood turned into Wang Lin. He reached into the air and his bag of holding appeared out of nowhere. Then he put on a blue robe before he took a step and used several teleportations at once. He disappeared without a trace. His figure appeared countless kilometers away. Then he charged directly toward the capital of the Sky Demon country. After the Blood Soul Pill absorbs a trace of divine sense and blood, it also activates another ability for a short period of time. At the moment of death, anything that is linked to the origin soul will be merged with the void. After one is resurrected, they can use the power of their soul and blood to retrieve the items stored in the void. Back then, Yao Shishue used this function. Back then, the Allseer gave Wang Lin a life-saving treasure, but that treasure could only withstand the blow of an ascendant cultivator. Although the cultivation of the 30-foot-tall old man was at the late stage of ascendant, his true power far surpassed that. There was also that mysterious existence in the Black Tower, so even if he had used the life-saving treasure, it would be hard for him to stay alive. That was why Wang Lin had decided to risk it with the Blood Soul Pill after he thought of countless possibilities. Otherwise, he would have had to fight the existence inside the Black Tower, and that existence was simply too powerful. After Wang Lin became sober, he recalled what happened and was completely terrified. If it wasn't for the stimulation of the Celestial Ascension fruit, he would have already died countless times from the divine sense attack from the mysterious existence inside the Black Tower. He couldn't possibly spend the next 400 years inside the demon spirit land consuming the Celestial Ascension fruit to simulate his origin soul. Otherwise, before that person killed him, he would have completely lost his mind to the madness. As a result, he had to risk it all. If he couldn't heavily injure or destroy the existence inside the Black Tower, then no matter how far he escaped, he wouldn't be able to escape that person's divine sense attacks. He was afraid that at the moment the effect of the Celestial Ascension fruit disappeared, that existence would begin its divine sense attack once more. Wang Lin believed that he would have died for sure at that moment. The existence inside the Black Tower never came out the entire time. It was obvious that it required the tower to exist, and this made Wang Lin even more determined. He came out of teleportation and continued to fly towards Sky Demon City. He had two preparations to make. The first was already complete, and the second was to get help from the ancient demon. Wang Lin secretly thought the matter from 10 years ago was delayed due to me breaking through to the ascendant stage. However, that matter was extremely important, so I believe the ancient demon won't go back on his word. He flew even faster. There were still some remnants of the Celestial Ascension fruit inside his origin soul, and now that he was sober, he could easily get rid of it. However, Wang Lin didn't do so because he needed to keep it as a backup in case the Black Tower wasn't important and the existence inside could still attack him using divine sense. If that is really the case, then I must be prepared to live the life of a fugitive. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He and the existence inside the Black Tower had no previous grievances. It was the existence that attacked him first, but there was no right or wrong in the cultivation world, strength was the only thing that mattered. After coming out of teleportation, Wang Lin was surprised to find that the celestial spiritual energy he had used up was immediately replenished. This meant that he could use greater teleportation multiple times. It has to be said that the greater teleportation spell consumed a lot of celestial spiritual energy. Before, he would have had to spend time absorbing celestial spiritual energy from celestial jades. However, it wasn't a concern right now, so he continued to use greater teleportation. It must be because those 4 drops of celestial spiritual energy completely fused with me when I self-destructed. After I resurrected, they must somehow exist in a special way inside my body. After thinking about it for a bit, Wang Lin no longer thought about it. He had used greater teleportation many times now and the capital was not far away. It could be said that Wang Lin rushed like he never did before during this trip. Unfortunately, I was under the stimulation of the Celestial Ascension fruit, or else I would not have left that sword energy behind. However, I remember where that body was. I wonder if the sword energy will still be there if I go back. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he became excited, but he knew that now was not the time to go back to the Fire Demon country. Wang Lin was only one greater teleport away from the Sky Demon country's capital. When he was about to take a step to teleport, an angry roar suddenly came from behind him. "I want to see where you can escape to." A large man wearing armor appeared 10,000 feet behind Wang Lin. This person looked very dignified. His eyes lit up and then his body was covered by a monstrous amount of devilish energy. Wang Lin's expression changed and he took a step out. When his body was about to disappear, he turned around to look at the large man. This gaze almost made him exclaim, "Ling Qianhu." This large man looked very similar to Sword Saint Ling Qianhu. Wang Lin's body disappeared and reappeared 50 kilometers outside of the capital. His expression was gloomy as his eyes lit up and he thought, he is not Ling Qianhu. Although that person looks like Ling Qianhu, he seems to be much younger. In addition, that person lacks the aura that Ling Qianhu has, and their appearances aren't completely the same. There are some similarities, could it be? Just at this moment, the large man wearing armor stepped out from the void behind Wang Lin. He stared at Wang Lin and asked, "Why aren't you running?" With that, his hand reached out and 5 strands of devilish energy shot out from the tip of his finger. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he suddenly asked, "Who is Ling Qianhu to you?" The large man's right hand suddenly paused. A hint of confusion appeared in his devilish energy-filled eyes. Ling Qianhu. What a familiar name. Wang Lin quickly backed up. His eyes became cold and he shouted, "The Da Lu Sword Sect Sword Saint Ling Qianhu." Da Lu Sword Sect. Sword Saint. The confusion in the large man's eyes became even stronger and he began to struggle. Just at this moment, the illusion of a devil soul suddenly appeared between the large man's eyebrows. He gave Wang Lin a vicious glare before letting out a sharp cry. This cry caused the confusion in the large man's eyes to disappear, and it was replaced by a devilish flame. Wang Lin quickly retreated and shouted, "Ancient demon!" A powerful will suddenly charged out from Sky Demon City and descended before Wang Lin. "You're late by 10 years. The ancient demon's voice entered Wang Lin's ears. "Lend me your blood." After hearing that voice, a large amount of blood came out from the pores on Wang Lin's body. This blood was condensed into the shape of a human, and the ancient demon's consciousness descended upon it. Wang Lin's body trembled, as he had lost a majority of the blood in his body. His face was pale and he quickly took out a pill. Then he sat down in the lotus position and began to cultivate. The devil soul on the large man's forehead stared at the blood shadow before Wang Lin and shouted, in a mysterious language, "Bei Luo, you dare to hinder me." The blood shadow moved and turned into a body with 2 horns. A demonic light appeared inside his eyes. He looked at the devil soul and calmly said, "You are only one of the 9 scattered soul pieces of the ancient devil. Why can't I hinder you?" Language of the ancient gods? Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed a pondering expression. The devil soul that came out from the large man stared at the ancient demon formed from Wang Lin's blood. It then let out a sharp screech that was filled with penetrating power. The devil soul suddenly sank back into the large man and the large eyes revealed an unprecedented amount of devilish flames. He then took a step forward and a giant illusion of the devil soul appeared behind him. The eyes of the ancient demon formed from Wang Lin's blood lit up. He casually waved his hand and a demonic fog suddenly appeared. The demonic fog wrapped around the large man and charged into the sky. At the same time, a screen of demonic spiritual energy came down from the sky and covered the entire Sky Demon City. The ancient demon and devil started a great battle in the fog in the sky. Bursts of rumbling sounds came from the sky. Sometimes devilish flames filled the sky, and sometimes demonic spiritual energy swept the area. Wang Lin sat on the ground in the lotus position. His eyes were looking at the sky while he cultivated. It was as if his eyes could penetrate the fog in the sky and directly see the fighting happening inside. This scene caused Wang Lin's heart to tremble. The attacks of the ancient demon and the shattered devil held enough power to split the world in half. All of these spells caused the memories of ancient god Tu Sai that had been buried deep in Wang Lin's mind to surface once more. Wang Lin's eyes became brighter and brighter. As he continued to watch, he completely gave up on cultivating. Instead, his hand subconsciously formed seal after seal of various spells from ancient God 2-size memories. Although he formed these seals, they had no attack power behind them. However, at this moment, through the mysterious connection to his origin soul, an oppressive power erupted on a small planet countless kilometers away from the East Demon Spirit Sea outside of the Demon Spirit Land. The original body with a head full of red hair suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes looked like they contained the entire sky within them. At the moment his eyes opened, his hand began to move, forming various seals. The original body's red hair flowed and the stars between his eyebrows flickered. As his hand continued to change, the stars began to flicker even more frequently. Then his hand suddenly extended to both sides and he said, "Absorb." With one word, the small planet he was on began to tremble. Strands of spiritual energy moved toward the depths of the planet and were absorbed by the original body. At the same time, Wang Lin also did the same motion in the Demon Spirit Land. He stared at the thick fog in the sky and slowly revealed a smile. The battle between the ancient demon and the shattered devil allowed me to understand some ancient god spells. The benefits the original body obtained can't be estimated. This battle lasted for 3 days. The blood Wang Lin lost had already been replenished. A celestial spiritual energy cycled his body and stimulated his bone marrow to create more blood. As the celestial spiritual energy cycled through his body, he reached his peak. While calmly looking at the sky, his right hand formed a seal and he pointed upwards. The underworld river suddenly appeared around him. Countless broken limbs could be seen inside the river, and there was a constant wailing coming from it. "Shattered devil, although I, Wang Lin, am weak, I am not someone you can casually kill." Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand. He tossed it into the underworld river. When the 1 billion soul flag entered the underworld river, the 100 million soul fragments came out. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and took out the restriction flag. This flag was damaged back when he used it against the divine retribution, and a lot of the restrictions inside it were broken. Although there weren't many restrictions left, Wang Lin still threw it into the underworld river. After that, it was the celestial sword. Although Shuligua was extremely unwilling, he didn't dare to refuse Wang Lin right now. He could only endlessly sigh in his heart and think, "Forget it. We have already returned to Sky Demon City. That little beauty has been waiting for me for 10 years, I wonder if she was faithful." As he thought about this, he was thrown into the underworld river by Wang Lin. Following him was the half-moon blade. Then it was the soul lasher, sword sheaths, and Mo Yang's sword. In the end, aside from the war chariot and the mysterious painting, Wang Lin threw almost all of the treasures he had into the underworld river. The countless treasures inside the underworld river formed a very chaotic but very powerful force. Then Wang Lin took a deep breath and pressed his finger between his eyebrows. The 130,000 strands of slaughter energy turned into 130,000 life seals that protected him. His eyes were still locked onto the sky. At this moment, his eyes narrowed and he flew into sky without any hesitation. His hand extended toward the ground and the underworld river flew into the air and condensed into a yellow light. Not only did it carry all of Wang Lin's treasures, it also contained his Tao. Carrying the yellow light, Wang Lin charged out. At this moment, in the thick fog in the sky, many parts of the armor of the large man had broken off. He had been forced to retreat many times and the devilish flame in his eyes had weakened, but he continued to release crazy roars. The eyes of the ancient demon formed from Wang Lin's blood lit up. He charged out and continued to use one spell after another. The large man coughed out blood and was forced to retreat once more. "Accept your death." The ancient demon let out a shout before the illusion of himself went inside the blood body. He then turned into a ray of demonic light and surrounded the large man's entire body. Being surrounded by the demonic light caused the devil soul to reappear between the large man's eyebrows. The devil let out a sharp screech and a sound wave spread out. Under the effect of the sound wave, the demonic light paused for a moment. Then the devil soul gave the ancient demon a vicious look and returned back into the large man. At the same time, the large man backed up to escape. Wang Lin was waiting for this moment. He charged into the sky like a meteor. The yellow light in his hand shined, and in the blink of an eye, he charged into the thick fog. He charged straight at the large man who was attempting to leave the attack range of the ancient demon. As he retreated, the large man noticed Wang Lin's approach. There was a hint of contempt in his eyes, as he didn't consider Wang Lin worthy of his attention at all. He casually waved his right hand at Wang Lin as he backed up. A gust of wind was created from his hand, and then the 130,000 life seals around Wang Lin's body began to collapse. 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 80,000. As the life seals collapsed, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He forced himself forward and arrived before the large man just as all 130,000 life seals collapsed. Then Wang Lin threw the yellow light in his hand without any hesitation. The large man let out a cold snort. Then his right hand formed a fist and punched at the yellow light. He wanted to shatter this yellow light. However, at the moment his right hand collided with the yellow light, his expression changed greatly. There were too many different auras inside the yellow light, and all of them were merged by force by a strand of divine sense and Tao. It somehow actually formed a force that could threaten him. If everything was normal, perhaps it wouldn't really threaten him. However, even though he was already injured, he had just started a great battle with the ancient demon only to suffer more injuries. Also, after losing the Devil Tower, his divine sense was trapped inside the armor. He was unable to spread out his divine sense, and thus he couldn't use a lot of his spells. The yellow light's power surged out and the large man involuntarily stopped for a moment. The price of this pause was the demonic light formed by the ancient demon caught up and completely engulfed him. This demonic light was an extremely powerful spell of the ancient demons that could refine all living things in the world. The large man let out a miserable groan and began to release a large amount of devilish energy. This devilish energy was immediately refined, leaving not a single trace of it behind. The devil came out from the large man's eyebrows and shouted, "Bei Luo, if you kill me, Master will definitely not forgive you for this." He also came out completely before turning into a ray of light and entering the armor. Right after he did so, the armor left the large man's body. The armor was surrounded by a monstrous amount of devilish energy and was about to charge out of the demonic light. Abandon the mount to save the general, was the thought in the devil soul's mind right now. Although he would lose the body, as long as the armor wasn't lost, he could recover one day. At most, he would just have to find another body. Also, without the body, the devil soul believed he would be able to escape with his spells. After the large man lost the armor, his entire body began to erode under the demonic light. Then his eyes dimmed and he fell from the sky. The armor spent almost all of its devilish energy to escape from the demonic light. The devil was very happy. As long as he could get out of the demonic light, he could use a spell to quickly leave. However, just as he became happy, that happiness disappeared. Wang Lin's right hand moved like lightning and grabbed the armor right as it charged out. Wang Lin would do whatever it took to get things done. After all the planning he did, how could he let this so-called shattered devil escape at the last moment? If the devil escaped today, he would forever have to face the devil's crazed revenge in the future unless he hid inside Sky Demon City forever. Also, Wang Lin believed that the ancient demon would definitely help him at the last moment. Otherwise, the ancient demon would not have appeared at all. With Wang Lin's cunning, he was easily able to see through all of this. At the moment his right hand grabbed the armor, Wang Lin already expected the devil soul to enter his body, so he activated the remaining celestial ascension fruit inside his origin soul. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly turned blood red and his entire body entered a state of extreme madness. "You won't be able to escape." As Wang Lin shouted, he suddenly pulled his right hand back, dragging the armor back with it. The devil soul appeared from the armor and viciously stared at Wang Lin. The devil soul let out a roar before charging into Wang Lin's palm and rushing toward Wang Lin's origin soul. At the same time, the armor turned into black strands. It wrapped itself around Wang Lin and then turned back into armor. Wang Lin was now wearing a set of black armor, his eyes were blood red, and his hair moved without any wind. Inside his body, His origin soul had reached its peak with the help of the celestial ascension fruit. He began a battle with the devil soul that had lost most of its devilish energy. The demonic light dissipated and turned back into the ancient demon's blood shadow. He looked at Wang Lin with admiration in his eyes and smiled. What a good strategy, to stimulate the origin soul to help resist against the devil soul. If I help you, then I will have done as you planned, but if I don't help you, then the battle earlier will end up being pointless. You calculated that I would definitely help you. Good, this is your fortune, so I'll help you. As the ancient demon spoke, he grabbed Wang Lin. He also grabbed the large man whose body was eroding but hadn't died yet. Then the ancient demon turned into a ray of light and charged toward the Dragon Lake outside of Sky Demon City. Outside of Rank 7 cultivation planet Qianyun. Bloodstar. A woman wearing purple was riding a 3-foot-long sword as she quickly flew across the vastness of space. There were 3 women wearing colorful robes chasing after her. One of the women chasing the woman in purple sneered. Wretch, you betrayed the Heavenly Water Sect and stole the Junior Sect Master's holy treasure. Do you really think you can escape? Even if this place is under the influence of planet Qianyun, my 5-element planet is also a Rank 7 cultivation planet. You won't be able to run away. The purple-robed woman clenched her teeth and her face was extremely pale. The purple veil she was previously wearing had already fallen off. You have GU poison in your body. I want to see how much farther you can escape. The woman in purple revealed a bitter expression. The GU poison in her body had already activated and had been forcibly suppressing her the entire way. Originally, she could have escaped, but she didn't expect her sister to betray her and lure the enemy to her. Right now she was like a lamp without any oil. She could no longer suppress the GU poison in her body and coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Her face became pale and the large sword under her swayed slightly. She let out a bitter smile as she controlled the sword under her to charge straight toward a blood-red planet. The 3 women behind her let out cold snorts and sped up their chase. The woman in purple closed in on the blood-red planet and broke through the atmosphere. When she closed in on the surface, she immediately saw a blood-red pavilion. A man walked out from the pavilion. He had red hair and red eyebrows and was wearing a red robe. As he stood there, although there wasn't a trace of celestial spiritual energy on him, he gave off a suffocating sense of majesty. He coldly looked at the purple-robed woman and the 3 women chasing her. He frowned and calmly said, "Scram." The 3 women's expressions changed slightly. One of them quickly said, "The Heavenly Water Sector 5-element planet is attempting to capture a traitor. I hope Senior won't intervene." A flash of coldness appeared in the man's eyes. He then waved his large sleeves, causing a gust of wind to blow the 3 women out of the blood-red planet. "What is your name?" "Zishin, Junior's name is Zishin. A cultivator from the Rank 6 cultivation planet Suzaku." The purple-robed woman stared at the person before her. This person was able to send the people chasing her away with a single wave of his sleeves. This kind of cultivator was simply too terrifying. Planet Suzaku. Country of Chu, the Cloud Sky Sect. The Cloud Sky Sect was completely different from before. The country of Chu was raised to a rank 4 cultivation country by the current Suzaku, Ju Wutai. Although it was only rank 4, its sphere of influence was the largest among the rank 4 cultivation countries. Even all of the rank 5 cultivation countries had to be respectful when they were in Chu, especially when facing the Cloud Sky Sect. This was because almost everyone who experienced those few hundred years of events all knew of a cultivator named Wang Lin. That person single-handedly set out a huge, never-before-seen wave on planet Suzaku. After the Cloud Sky Sect became a rank 4 country, they tore down their sect. Then, with the help of the entire country, they built a giant statue out of high-quality spirit stones. This statue was that of a man wearing black. His eyes revealed a pondering expression. Although he wasn't handsome, he gave off an out-of-this-world feeling. His right hand formed a seal as if he was wondering. The statue emitted a terrifying majesty that enveloped the surrounding area. This was the location of the Cloud Sky Sect. It was also something that the countless Cloud Sky sect disciples worshipped. It was also something that all cultivators in Chu respected. It was also a legend for planet Suzaku. There was currently one old person and one young person walking up the stairs to the Cloud Sky sect. At their current position, they could clearly see the towering statue. The teenager's face was filled with curiosity as he asked, "Grandpa, is this the statue you were talking about?" The old man looked at the statue and revealed a trace of reminiscence. After a long time, he rubbed the child's head and said, "Do you know why the head of the Cloud Sky sect was able to reach the soul formation stage? Why all of the sects in Chu consider the Cloud Sky sect as their ruler? Why all those experts from rank 5 cultivation countries must be so respectful when they are here? All of it is because of this statue." The youth seemed startled before blinking and smiling. "That is strange. How can a statue make everyone so respectful?" The old man sighed and said, "Although the person the statue is based on only cultivated here for a short period of time, during those few hundred years, he set off a never-before-seen storm on planet Suzaku. There were some things that only spread after he left. Rumor has it that when he had only cultivated for 200 years, he managed to create a complete mess in the Sea of Devils. He saved a beautiful woman and completely shocked the entire Cloud Sky sect. He slaughtered his way through Zhao, creating rivers of blood. The entire Teng family was slaughtered, and the entire country became a graveyard. Rumor has it that he went into the celestial realm and cut off Red Butterfly's arm. He defeated Liu Mai, battled Qian Feng, and accepted the soul-refining sect's Du Tine as his master. He destroyed Shui Yu, killed the giant demon clan ancestor, and became famous during the battle against the Forsaken Immortal clan. He obtained the Suzaku crystal inside the Suzaku tomb. After defeating many others, he was the first to obtain the Suzaku crystal. He could have obtained the title of Suzaku, but he refused it and gave it to the current Suzaku, Zhu Wutai. The youth exclaimed, "He actually refused the title of Suzaku. Why else do you think the current Suzaku, Zhu Wutai, also comes and silently gazes at this statue every time a big event happens?" On planet Suzaku, before that person was born, the Holy Land was Mount Suzaku. Now the Holy Land is this Cloud Sky sect. The youth's mouth was wide open. He had heard about all of this before, but it was never as detailed as today. His heart beat faster and his little face was filled with excitement as he said, "Grandpa, I want to be like him in the future." "What is his name? Where did he go?" "His name is Wang Lin. I also don't know where he went. But no matter where he goes, such a person won't be ordinary." The old man sighed and bitterly smiled. "Your grandpa once had dealings with him, but I'm afraid he has long forgotten who I am." The youth was about to speak in excitement when the roar of a tiger suddenly came from below the mountain. This tiger's roar was filled with majesty and caused the trees to shake. At the same time, a large, black-striped tiger jumped up from the bottom of the mountain toward the top. There was a woman sitting on the back of the tiger. She was about 20 years old and was wearing white. Her clothes moved with the wind and she looked like a celestial. This woman's appearance was not the most beautiful, but she looked very delicate with her pink skin. Her beautiful eyes showed her intelligence. "Little White, faster!" The woman's voice was like a yellow oriole, very alluring. The tiger she was sitting on let out another roar and charged directly at the Cloud Sky sect. When they reached the top of the mountain, the tiger landed beside the statue. The tiger's eyes turned to look at the statue. Then his eyes filled with disdain and he thought, "This little girl is too silly. Why must she try to find this person? It is much better to stay on planet Suzaku. This tiger lord has so many tigresses. If we have to leave in the future, how can I bear to separate from them all?" However, this little girl once said that there are more beautiful tigresses outside of planet Suzaku. This makes it somewhat difficult for this tiger lord. The woman stared at the statue and softly said, "Uncle, little Ayua has already reached the core formation stage. Very fast, right? I'm very diligent. Grandpa Tai Yang said that once I reach the nascent soul stage, he will give me the bag you left for me. Uncle, I'll definitely be able to reach the nascent soul stage." A soft sigh appeared from the void, and then a tall old man walked out from the cloud sky sect. He was wearing a Daoist robe that gave him a sense of majesty. He arrived next to the statue. First he bowed to the statue and then looked at the woman and tiger. His eyes were filled with kindness and love as he said, You must follow your heart. If you force yourself to pursue the nascent soul stage, then you will walk down the wrong path and will be walking against the flow. The woman looked at the statue and softly said, Grandpa Tai Yang, back then, when Uncle left Zhao and went into the Sea of Devils, wasn't he also dead set on reaching the nascent soul stage? Thus, following one's heart isn't always the right advice. This old man was Tai Yang. After Wang Lin gave him some pointers, he was able to break through the nascent soul stage and reach the soul formation stage. Aside from being grateful, he felt even more respect for Wang Lin. He never touched the bag Wang Lin left behind, he didn't dare to. He couldn't forget Wang Lin's calm gaze before Wang Lin left. Zhu Yu withdrew her gaze and looked at Tai Yang. She revealed a smile that was like a lily blooming and said, Grandpa Tai Yang, on the way here, I met the current Suzaku, Uncle Zhu. He wanted me to go cultivate at Mount Suzaku. He said that my cultivation will be faster there, so Yu is here to say goodbye to you today. Tai Yang understood that Zhu Yu's status on planet Suzaku was extremely special. It could be said that she was the little princess of planet Suzaku. Almost everyone who met Wang Lin before was extremely courteous toward her, whether it was due to fear or respect toward Wang Lin. Even the Forsaken Immortal clan was extremely polite to Zhu Yu. Normally, the Forsaken Immortal clan wouldn't allow any cultivator to enter their territory, but Zhu Yu was one of the few exceptions. It could be said that Zhu Yu would not meet any danger on planet Suzaku. Also, Zhu Wutai, the Forsaken Immortal clan's Yun QZ, and many other people with high cultivation levels all gifted her life-saving treasures. If any average cultivators really wanted to fight this little core formation girl, they might not be able to win. In addition, there were experts sent by Mount Suzaku and the giant demon clan's patriarch, Kai Hu, following her. They were ready to protect her at any moment, so she wouldn't face any danger. Among the people protecting her, there were also people from the Cloud Sky sect. After pondering a bit, Tai Yang nodded and kindly said, Okay, you cultivate well at Mount Suzaku. If you really reach the nascent soul stage one day, I'll immediately give you the things benefactor left behind for you. Zhu Yu smiled before turning around and looking meaningfully at the statue. She then slapped the tiger's head and said, Little White, let's go to Mount Suzaku. Little White let out a roar before jumping into the air and disappearing over the horizon. It has to be said that this Tiger Lord was able to borrow that Wang Lin's might a lot in these years. Those cultivators that would normally want to catch me before are now all extremely respectful when they see me. Forget it, for the sake of this little girl, if she wants to leave planet Suzaku, this Tiger Lord will just have to follow her. As Little White flew in the air, drool flew out the corner of his mouth. God knows if that was the real reason he made up his mind or if it was because of the tigresses from other planets that Zhu Yu talked about. This video will end here.